think we are live. Hello and welcome to my part 3 video Q&A. I am here, have some tea, and I wasn't going to really film today because I've had so many other things going on in my life lately that I haven't really had the time. But there's no excuses, and I decided to just come and fucking do it. So I've had some health things going on, I've had some life things going on, and I think to myself, when is there ever not like a life thing going on? So you're gonna get me for part 3 of my Q&A. So I'm just gonna chill into it a little bit, and I promise I will try and keep this one a little bit tighter. I know I always say that, but this time round I have to, you know, just get to it. So like always, hello, my name is Goliath. Well, that's my artist author name. And I live in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. And I am an artist, creator, author, witch, psychic medium. I'm into the occult. And yes, I am on the lefter side of the path, if that makes any sense. So I hope that you, you know, enjoy my videos, you enjoy my content. And if you do, then please just hit the subscribe button and engage with me. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. I share my opinions and my thoughts on things, and I open up my life to share what I know, or a tiny little bits and pieces about what I know. I can't share everything with you, but yes, I am open to having these chats. So, intro over. Now, I had so many questions come through, it was just like it was out of control. So I had to kind of go with the questions that that I felt called to, and then some of them I just have to like leave behind. So just give me 1 sec, and I'm gonna grab my iPad, because of course I leave it somewhere else. So just give me 1 sec. Okay. I'm back. Miss me? Yeah, thank you for everyone who's engaged and sent in some questions. So let's get in really close. Before I start the Q&A, I do want to share with you something that, something very special. A beautiful friend of mine, she is also a fellow artist and creator. So I hope you like, oh yeah. Yeah, the blocking, I did some blocking today in my video. So I've got like a little bit of some witchy stuff going on. So yes, I did receive something very special the other day from a very close friend of mine, and she is in France, and her name is Angel. So hello, Angel, my friend. She has taken the time to create another deck. She is a fellow deck creator, and this is her new deck that she's put out. It's an oracle deck. It is called the Lilliath Kalum Oracle, and that's the backing. So I just wanted to do a shout out to her. I'm an artist that shares other people's work, by the way. So if you've got a deck and you want someone to put it out there, I am so happy to support you. I know how hard it is to get your work out there, particularly if you are a self-published artist. It's something that is not always the easiest thing to do. So I'm going to share some of the artwork with you. It's beautiful. It's all been done all in by hand. I'm trying to put it on the angle so it doesn't pick up the lighting ring. Some of them are side on. Lots of animals, lots of nature. Yes, there is a guidebook for those that are asking. It does have a PDF guidebook that you can download. And it really, I believe that when she was illustrating a lot of the artwork here, a lot of them were actually inspired by our friendship, because we've been friends for about 4 years now. So it's nice to see, you know, your energy, witchy energy going into someone else's artwork. It's really cool. So it's really a beautiful experience to see it and share it with you. Now, so this deck has sold out. So I'm going to be honest, it has sold out. So what you could do, I've heard through the grapevine that if you would like to acquire a copy of this, yes, it does have nudity, by the way, like this Venus flytrap. I love that. I asked her, and I've heard through the grapevine that she has said to me that there will be possibly a reprint or a second edition, maybe. So that won't be happening until the orders come through in September. So yeah, just that one's pretty cool. Now, the artwork is quite simple, but sometimes just because something is more on the simple side doesn't mean that it's not effective. Sometimes we don't need all of the detail. We don't need all of the, I like this one. It's a woman holding her baby. I'm not sure if you can see, that one's really nice. Yeah, just because it's not like really, really detailed and over the top, that doesn't mean that the card isn't going to get the point of view. I think this might be the Hermit or an Alchemical Master. But I like the earthy tones, and I think you can see, you can see the vibe. So yeah, I will leave a link below, and if you'd like to pick up a copy, or you can get in contact with Angel. She's very gracious, and she's very kind, and she's very fair, so she'll be able to let you know what the go is with another edition or a reprint. So congratulations on your beautiful deck, Angel, and thank you for sending that through to me. I said I was going to share it, so I did. All right, so we're going to get into part 3. This is the final part of the Q&A that I have received. And I've taken a lot of time to think about my answers and think about what it is that I wanted to say. And as you know, some of the questions I haven't seen. So they're just sitting there and I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'll read that. Yeah, all right, I'll answer that. Okay, so the first question that I have is, what is your view on mental health and spirit work? I hear voices all the time in my head. How do I know this is a spirit? Or how do I know it's something that is wrong with me? All right, so I'm really glad that someone asked me that question, because that is such a serious question. And I'm gonna answer this in a very gentle way, but I'm gonna be very firm with it as well. Some people, I'm not even gonna say some. I would say that a lot of people that turn to the occult or turn to spirituality, and don't see this as a negative, because I kind of come in the same boat of this as well. I think a lot of them do suffer from a lot of mental health problems. Okay, they do. We know that. You can see that. And that's not necessarily a negative. Back in the day, I think the stigma around mental health was just like, you just kind of throw someone away, like throw them away, get rid of them, lobotomize them. They end up in some kind of psych ward, shuffling the halls, and it just wasn't something that was really talked about or ever really addressed. These days, mental health is something that is, I feel we've got a long way to go, that we are seeing it more and understanding that if this isn't right in your head, everything can be fucked. You can cause a lot of trouble, a lot of pain in other people's lives if you are operating from a place that is mentally ill. So we're becoming more aware of it, but I feel that we have a long way to go. That being said, some people do require treatment that is ongoing. Some people do require medication. Is the occult or spirituality something that can bypass treatment? No. So I would say in most cases that yes, a lot of people that feel disempowered or they feel out of control, they do turn to magic or the occult, because it's a way for them to feel that they can gain control or feel more powerful. I hope that makes sense. Now, it is tricky, because I think it's really case by case, because in your question you asked me, and I know this was Marcy, I know you asked me that, and I know you don't mind me saying your name. Hello, Marcy. Sometimes we have to be really careful with this, because yes, sometimes when I'm channeling and I'm getting information and it's coming through and I'm trying to process that as best as I can feel the difference between what is spirit, what is something else outside of me that's coming into my crown for the purpose of a reading, or I can also feel that that's really a negative thought that's really quite, you know, it's like my inner demons. So I think it's really case by case. I can't answer that in a way that I know that you want me to answer it. But what I would say is, if it's affecting you terribly and it's really upsetting you and you have a lot of voices in your head, I would always say, go and see a doctor, go and seek counsel, go and seek counsel on both sides, go and see a mystic, go and see someone in the spiritual field, and go see someone else in the psychiatric field as well, but someone that is qualified and someone that is going to treat you from the heart. They're not going to just see you as another number, okay? Now, when it comes to mental health disorders and mental health issues, I feel, in my opinion, that a lot of people have a lot of mental health problems just as it is. I think that the society that we're living in really creates a lot of people that are mentally unstable. I think it's a sick society. And I think narcissism is something that is really just like, kind of like encouraged in a way. Everyone's trying to compete with each other. Everyone's trying to be like, hey, this is me, check me out. Everyone's trying to one up each other. And, you know, it's really toxic. Society, I feel, has become very, very toxic in that regard. So, you know, we're in the age of loneliness. We're in the age of people that just don't get connection the way that they should. And that, in that being said, that really does breed and create and contribute to a lot of problems within the soul and within the mind. So, I mean, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I mean, as you know, a couple of months ago, I was completely suicidal, and I went through some really big shifts in my life where I had to really reassess myself and my relationships. Now, when it comes to like the more heavier disorders, that is a problem, because when it comes to mental health, the behavior is the symptom of the problem. And so when we call out the behavior to that person that's behaved that way, there's a lot of shame and there's a lot of stigma there, which can really make it worse in a way. So, and I'm talking like borderline personality, I'm talking like more bipolar, I'm talking more like antisocial personality disorders, because these diagnoses are very, very heavy, because, yeah, it's so complicated. And I've also been labeled with, even just a couple of weeks or months ago, I got labeled by someone that, you know, it's all in my head and I'm crazy. But that's just someone trying to gaslight me, you know. So that's what a narcissist would do to you, is that it's all in your head, and how I treated you, you made it up in your head. But I didn't. I'm just showing you what you did, and then they put it back on you, which is so complicated, because that's also a tactic that people with mental health problems would do to someone else. So at the end of the day, I'm very firm on it. Rape is rape. Okay, murder is murder. Assault is assault. I don't give a fuck whatever banner or label you're going to slap on that. You're not going to get off the hook for hurting someone else based on your diagnosis or based on your behavior, like based on whatever off the hook type of thing you want to say. We can't have people walking around in society just doing whatever they want, hurting whoever they want, and then just going on to the next. But there's so many factors that you'd have to take into account as well. And also with the mental health problems, it's also like, you have to work with it. So it's a case-by-case thing. If it's depression, you know, I believe a lot of depression is not a chemical imbalance. I believe that it comes from the soul, and we've got to treat the soul. So you came in to have the human experience, you're not getting your needs met, and now you feel everything feels futile, everything feels trapped, everything feels like I can't get what I want, and then you become depressed. You know, I don't think you can just take a tablet there's no quick fix. But I think the pharmaceutical industry exploits people as well. And I don't think the medical field really takes into account the heart. So that being said, I hope that answered your question a little bit. If you have thoughts in your head that are like people talking in your head, then I would say seek counsel from both sides. But I've been around a long time, and I've worked with my team or my guides, and I've worked with what I can decipher between what is not mine or what is mine, and I take accountability for both. Also, me having like problems that I have in my life, whether it is mental health problems, I am also at a level of maturity to understand that it doesn't matter what happened to me as a kid or how fucked up things were for me as a kid. I have to operate from a place where I'm taking responsibility for my own behavior and how that impacts other people, because that's not their fault. You know, it's not their fault. When it comes to extreme outbursts and things like that, you know, depending on what level of health diagnosis it is it that sometimes, very commonly, there's no gauge on emotion, so it can go from 0 to 100 in a click of a switch kind of thing, which is out of context for someone else. But if someone else understands the context of why you behave that way, then they're not going to come at you from a level of, oh my God, that's so much, I'm getting out of here. They're going to come at that from a place of compassion and be able to hold space for you. So it's also people working with your condition and understanding what is wrong or what is the problem here, so that they can be more attuned to know how to interact with you and know what is best for you. Like sometimes, to be fair, it happens a lot to me. I have so many people coming into my energetic field at one time that I can't sustain a level of authenticity at a high level for every single person that's trying to connect with me. And so I just shut down. And I shut down and I go into my hermit cave, and I can't, I need a minute. So that's kind of a thing that I've discovered. A big problem that I have as well is with social media. I have a lot of problems with social media, and I think there is a question on that later. So I hope that answers your question. I know that was a long-winded answer. And I know my videos, when I talk fast and they're very dense, but if, you know, just pause it if you need a minute to go back and re-listen to what I said, and hopefully it's not too much for you and it's not overwhelming. But yeah, I hope that answered your question. Thank you. Thank you, Marcy, for answering, for sending that one in. Okay, next question. What is your thoughts on stalkers? Where does this behavior come from? Okay, a big one of that would also be, back again, mental health problems. So we know that some of the disorders that are out there are mass idolization of another person, and then mass devaluation of the person. So it's super highs and super lows. Now, this is a tricky one, because we all, as humans, we're all connected and we're all fractals of each other, all expressing ourselves back to each other like mirrors. That's how we learn. That's how we evolve. When we take in a part of someone else, this is heavy. When we see something in someone else that we want to acquire in ourselves, we want to like idolize that, because we want that so much in us. We want that to be something that we can do, but we've got to understand the difference between what's someone else's path and what's your path. Okay, so that's where sometimes it can get a little bit skewed. So I've done it too. Like as a kid, I didn't have a lot of role models, and I used to like pattern myself off. Well, not pattern myself off someone, but I would see someone who has a trait that I really like, that I really admire, and I want to like integrate that trait into myself in a way that's healthy. Stalking someone is not taking any accountability or showing a level of boundary or respect for someone else's space. So there are ways to admire someone. There are ways to look at someone and go, that works really beautiful. This person comes across in a really clear way, a really beautiful way. I really wish that I could take a little bit of their strength or their knowledge into myself, which is fantastic. You're integrating something in. That's what love is. You're bringing something into you as a part of yourself. But patterning yourself off someone else is a form of weakness. It's plagiarism. There's no authenticity in that, and it can't sustain long term. That's why it gets toxic and it collapses. Eventually it will. And how could it not? Because it's not coming from a place within you. You're trying to take something from someone else beyond just being inspired by them, and you're trying to integrate them into your being. Now, this is something that I get a lot. I have a lot of people that try and follow me or copy what I say or try to emulate me. I've had this for my whole life. I don't see it necessarily as a negative, but I get out of my ego of it, and it's like, I can't do much more than just inspire someone to do their best work. But I am not something for you to just piggyback off all the time either. So you have to kind of, but as I've gotten older as well, like I'm having a lot of stalkers, you know, I've had ADOs, I've had restraining orders, I've had lots of that stuff going on, is that these people really need love. They need a hug. And I think they see something in someone else and they emulate that in themselves. And when the other person can't be what they thought they were, they get really disappointed, and then they get angry with that person. It happens to a lot of famous people as well. They kind of emulate the star and they want to be like the star, and then they think that they feel connected to the star, and it's like the star has to give them their time and energy, but the star has never met them. They don't know them. So yeah, it's unhealthy. Stalking is obviously unhealthy, and I've felt very stalked in my life by clients, friends, family. It's a sick feeling. Yeah, it is. And it feels like you're an animal in the forest, and it's like something's watching you, always watching you. And a lot of people are very how do I say this word? Since like COVID or the internet happened, a lot of people are very voyeuristic. So they're kind of sitting back, watching other people talk, watching other people live their life through the internet, but they're not really like partaking in life. They're not really stepping up to get out there and do something for themselves. So they live through other people. People live through other people. It's really sick, but that's the kind of society that we're in right now. Okay, next question. You mentioned that you have done spells and performed rituals against people before. How do you know whether this is justified? Do you have guilt? Okay, that is a question that is only for you and for you alone to answer. I can't answer that question for you. For me personally, if someone has done something that has taken away something from me or harmed me or someone that I love in a way that is completely unacceptable, as a male practicing member of the occult, I have the tools to do what I've got to do. Now, I go there. I have no shame and I have no guilt. I will go there 100%. I get it done. I get it out there, and I will go there. And yes, it is effective. When it comes to shame and guilt, first of all, shame is actually not an emotion. Shame is a biosensory reaction to social interaction of how people see you. So that's, yeah, I'll get onto emotional stuff in a minute, because I think I'm going to talk about that with my artwork in a minute. But when it comes to doing a spell on someone, if you have wasted my time, if you have hurt me in a way where you're taking up time in my brain that I can't get back, that's where I start getting mad, because I could have used that time or energy onto something that was more productive. And to have someone come in and take up space in my head, that's not for free. I don't give out my headspace freely. So for me, that's one of the biggest things that is quick to piss me off. So yeah, I go there, but I don't have guilt and I don't have shame, because I know that I have the right to ask the spiritual world to put my antenna up there and ask for what it is that I'm asking for. And it has to be justified. It can't just be some like really insignificant nonsense. Like someone really has to piss me off for me to want to actually go there and do a ritual or do something like that against someone. So like I told you before, it's not a toy. The occult is not a toy. It's something that you have to take very seriously. If you have shame or guilt about what you're doing, then that's not really a strong place to come into doing a spell. When you weave guilt or undeserving of something into your intention or your prayer, or because ultimately praying is magic, you're releasing an energy. When you weave that into your projection, you're kind of retracting it and recalling it back to you because you're not really fully committed to the spell that you're trying to project out into the world. So I would say that your magic would be pretty weak. So yeah, when you go there, you've got to have you've got no regard for that. There isn't going to be a backlash because you have the right to do this. And you wouldn't have the ability to do it unless it was there for you to use it. But we don't use it unless it's absolutely necessary. Okay, because just doing spells and throwing shit out there on the internet or to hurt other people, it's really juvenile and it's a very low level magic. It's a low level vibration. Same with gossip and shit like that. Like I don't have time for that because it's just so low, like it's slow. I want to make it clear, like I like to operate up here. I do not operate down here. So a lot of the stuff that most of the community would engage with, it's completely inconsequential to my existence. And so I will say on the topic of that, there is no use in coming into spirituality or coming into magic or coming into the occult or coming into tarot unless you are using it in a way to improve your life. If you're doing it for entertainment, which I think most, most people are, that's already a place that isn't respectful. And I will say that for a lot of the time that we don't understand it because everything's so commercialized these days, particularly with tarot cards, but you are playing, like, where are we here? This is a tool to talk to spirit. This is not a toy, okay? It might look like a little pretty illustrated card. This is actually a very powerful tool that can be used to connect with the spiritual world. Okay, so I know that we don't like to see it that way, but that's actually what's going on here. So tarot or the occult to me is something that is very sacred and it needs a lot of respect. So it's not a toy, okay? So we don't play with things that we don't understand. And if it doesn't feel right in your soul and you're not in alignment with it, then you leave it alone and you don't go near it, okay? So no, I don't have any regard, I don't have any regard for my enemy. Like when I'm doing a spell to destroy my enemy, like I'm in war mode, okay? And I believe that this person will suffer and they will be punished for what they've done. And I believe that what I've put out there is going to happen 100,000%. One of my gifts, I'm lucky because I have my moon in Aries, is that I work, that energy with the iron, the god of war, Mars. We have a lot of iron in our blood. I'm fiery in that way. I've got that in me. So one of my biggest gifts is you can probably see it now. Look, in my eyes, like my strength is my projection. I have very, very strong projection. So that projection is very useful when I'm performing a ritual or performing a spell or building energy and then I'm releasing that energy. That energy will have a consequence. It will. And I don't care what's on the other side about what their ancestors are or what their spiritual I don't give a fuck. It depends on what it is, because with some levels of magic, we have to weaken their auric field and dissolve it and break it down before we can actually get there. Some people are at a level of protection that they can't just be accessed easily. So it is complicated when it comes to like doing hexes and curses on people. So I will leave it at that. But yeah, that's another video, another topic for another video. So I hope that I answered that question. What are we at? We're at half an hour. Oh my God, I love the chat. Okay, is there a spell to lose weight? No. Okay, that is a question that I have been asked before. Is there a spell to lose weight? First of all, when it comes to weight loss, we can't, like glamour magic type of stuff, I think that might be the direction that you're asking me. First of all, that is not something that can be acquired through doing a quick magical spell and I just look like a Barbie doll tomorrow. What you could do is work on the mindset and then work on breaking down your relationship or the negative factors about yourself that you don't like, and work through that. That's why a lot of people that play around with glamour magic, it's coming from a place of you wanting to change something about yourself. And in order to want to change something about yourself, it's already implying that you're not happy with who you are right now. And this is not a good place to come from when it comes to any type of magic or playing around with spell work, okay? So Can a spell change eye color? Can a spell change hair color? Can a spell change physical, skin tone? No, it can't. Aging and life is a natural process of life. It is something that we are all going to face, okay? So when it comes to weight loss, my tips would be it all comes down to output versus input. So it is to lose weight, you need to create, and I know a bit about this because I've been in the health and industry fitness for a while, and I used to be knew quite a bit more about it, but you have to create, to lose weight, you have to actually create something called a calorie deficit. So the output and the input are, in alignment, or not in a match where you're not expending more energy than you are taking in, and vice versa. That's the best way to go. For me personally, I've been around long enough to know what foods work well with my body. And there are certain foods that I just will not touch because it's just, I know it's it's like a cheat day, so I do that. In terms of magical spells, you can do things to change your mindset, but you have to shift something in your head to shift something in your body, okay? And also trauma, it's complicated because our eating patterns all go by stress levels or things that are triggering us, and then that triggers us and that sets us in motion. But in terms of losing weight, you have to set a plan and stick to the plan, and it's small increments of effort over a period of time that is sustainable over a long period of time that will change or make the change that you want to do. But you have to be committed to it. And for me, my best advice with that would be always come back to the why. Why is it that I want to lose weight? What is it about me that I'm not happy with right now? What is it that I want to change? Because some of these things, you are beautiful the way that you are. You don't have to change. Like a lot of the commercialism of life and in capitalism is that we're all competing with each other for limited resource, and we've all it's just exhausting. And in my early 20s, I had a lot of eating disorders, a lot of problems in that regard. And I know how hard it is. I used to starve myself, and it was a lot of self-hate. So long term, you have to slowly bring into change the things that you want to change in your eating and your environment. And then, it's so complicated, but yeah. the quickest answer to that is creating a calorie deficit and sticking to it. And that would be more sustainable long-term for you, because a lot of people go on these yo-yo dieting things and they just lose weight, then they gain weight, then they lose weight, and it's just up and down. And ultimately, the test of all things is the test of time. Over time, can we sustain a change over time? That's the main thing. Okay. Hi, Goliath. I love your artwork. Thank you. I've noticed you've placed some of your pictures of your up-and-coming book on Instagram. Could you please give us a sneak peek of what you're working on and show us your process? Yes, I can. I do have, I knew that you were going to ask me that question, so I do have some of my artwork here. So I'm happy to show you a little bit of my book. Someone else asked me a question about my artwork. So yeah, I'm working on a kids book series, and it is a conscious kids book that is talking about fragmentation. It's talking about integration, fragmentation, and it is called The Boy Who Lived Inside a Volcano. So it's about emotions, and there's a lot that I'll share with you as the book progresses. I am just 10 panels away. So when I say panels, I do mean pages. So I did conceive this project in lockdown. I was in a lockdown in Melbourne, and I decided I wanted to do a kids book. I've always wanted to do kids books. So it came to me, and it was a beautiful gift that I've been nurturing and working on. And my artwork is labor intensive. The concept of The Boy Who Lived Inside a Volcano is about a boy who is fragmented or ostracized from his tribe, and he doesn't have any connection, and he's starved for connection, and he feels powerless. So he is seeking power. Then he gets power, and the power changes him. He gets the revenge. He creates makes things right. And of course, he's trapped himself in that power. And so yeah, I won't give you, I don't want to, I don't want to give away too much about it, but yes, it is very exciting. And I've never seen anything done like this before, and that's why I think I need to do it, and that's why I feel called to do it. It's not easy telling people that I'm an esoteric artist and that I'm working on a kid's book about emotion. People are like, what? What's that? But that's fine, I'm used to that. So I do have some artwork here, so I will show it to you. Just let me grab that. So this is a panel from one of the pages that I've done recently. So you can see this is my volcano monster. His name is Ung, and that is the anger stone that he has, that he holds. It's a transformation that occurs within him. But yes, I do all the artwork. I do it in a base of acrylic with some fluoro colors, because you can probably see it's quite bright. And I also use the Prisma color pencils, which I've never worked with. This was the first time that I worked with Prisma color pencils, but I'm very happy with the way that they blend. So here's another panel that I can share with you. I'm not sure how much of that you can see, but it's very vibrant. There's lots of magic and nature and animals, and you know, so it's a beautiful story. It is adult centered and kid friendly. So there's another panel that I could share with you. Here's a couple more. So this is what I do. So you can see, like, you can kind of get a vibe. It's very jungly, lots of jungle, lots of magic. We've got this character here, sitting here. That's our main character. He goes through a bit of a transformation, as you know. So yeah, there's a little bit, and I'll show you one more page. So I know you guys asked me. This is another page. So one of the first pages actually, which is an introduction to our character. So there you go. There's a little village down the bottom at the volcano. So you can see, yeah. So yeah, I hope that gave you a little bit of a look at my work, what I do. I do work on quite a large scale, and then that artwork gets scanned in a very, very insanely high resolution, and then from that it gets uploaded and the pages are going to get put together. And yes, I am self-publishing, so yeah. It's like, don't make it any more harder on myself than it already is. But yes, it's not a simple thing to do, but you know, it is. Oh, here's one more. Here you can see it's very emotive. But yeah, anyway, next question. And thank you for asking about my artwork. It's very nice that people care about me, to ask me about showing it. So yeah, I hope that you're having I hope you guys are having a good week, by the way. Yeah, I wasn't gonna film today, like I said, but I decided to just suck it up. Next question. Can you please talk about your thoughts and feelings on fake accounts and all the scamming that's going on? Yeah, major drainer, isn't it? Just draining. It's draining the fuck out of me. So just quickly on the subject of that, I think at this point I get people every day saying, hey, Goliath, there's someone is, you know, offering a service, so you've contacted me, I don't think it's you, and you know it, you know it's not me. So what I say to this is the world that we're living in now, okay? Identity theft is the main thing that people want to steal. If they can get access to your name or date of birth or, you know, any information, they're going to use it against you. They're going to try and set up a fake account, whether it's a bank account, whether it's whatever it is they can try and do. They're going to take out a loan. They're going to try and do something fraudulent. That's the world that we're in. And obviously working in the spiritual field where you are offering a service like a reading or mentorship or anything like that, it's obviously just a sitting duck. It's a sitting duck that can be easily exploited. So we've got to get really more vigilant to be able to decipher between this person is not authentic. And so for me, I get more annoyed that people can't spot this. So when they message me and they say, hey, someone's impersonating you, I mean, in the nicest way, could you get any more lazy? Can't you look at the profile? You can see that every single one of the squares has just been done on the same day. There's no engagement in any of the comments. You can see that, you can feel that. you know, so no professional operation is going to do a cold call approach where they contact someone and basically force or push someone into a service to get them to hand over some money to PayPal or something. It's so dodgy and it's so obvious. So that's the world that we're in. And I just don't have a lot of time for that because it's happening to everyone. It's everywhere. So it's just a matter of identifying it, reporting it, blocking it, and moving on. Instagram or Meta, they don't care. Okay, they couldn't care less. They want as many profiles as possible on there. Yeah, so it is what it is. Is it frustrating? Yes. Is it upsetting? Of course it is. But at the end of the day, I can't control, or you can't control, you know, really low level behavior like this. We can't do much about it. Okay, so you have to be able to see it, recognize it, and just rise above and just move on from it. And that's what it is, because it's not going to go away. It's not. Okay, so I don't think much about it because I don't think about it. Yeah. So I think that's all I'm going to say on the scamming thing. I don't, if you can't tell a real account between a fake account, then that's on you. Sorry, I can't take any accountability for it. No, I don't care. Okay, there's a lot of phonies out there. There's a lot of fakes out there, and you can see that from a mile away. The ones that are authentic are the ones that are out there doing it. You know, they're not, you come to them, they don't come to you. Okay, it's almost like someone in a street harassing people, you know, subscribe to this energy, or have you done this, or come to this thing. It's already coming from a place of desperation. So when something comes from a place of desperation, it's already weak. So I wouldn't align with it anyway. Okay, next question. Can you tell us a bit about the Goatic demons and the Goetia? Yeah, I can. I'm going to do a video on that because I can't do it justice to sit here just for, you know, in a Q&A. So I will leave that for a video, but please look out for the video. I will talk about the, I think it's 74 or 72 demons. I will talk about that. A lot of people ask me the questions like, who do you work with? Who do you work with? So yeah, that's the next one. And the next question is, can I sell my soul? My mum said that you've sold your soul. Is there any way, any tips to do this? I really want some results. I'm prepared to go the extra mile. All right, so in the left path, this is kind of laughed at a little bit. This is the most laziest, most ridiculous thing that we hear. And I like to get into like the joke of it, like it's a bit of a joke, but I'm gonna set you straight. Sovereignty and free will is the natural state of a human. It is the natural state of a being, okay? You can't sell your soul. Now, you can only give your soul of free will, of servitude, or be subservient to a being that is higher than you, okay? The devil doesn't want your soul, okay? He doesn't. He wants you to know about him. He wants you to see him. He wants you to take the time to learn about him. That's what these beings really want, okay? I know it sounds mean, but a lot of you think that you have something to offer, but it's like your plumbing system in yourself, in your center, isn't even connected to begin with, which means that it's of no value to another being on the other side because you don't have something that they want. Put it this way, and I'm going to be honest here. The reason why a lot of people can't connect to these beings that are out there is because you're probably coming to them with some level of entitlement. You're probably coming to them with some level of give me. You're coming to them with a level of, it's not coming from a place of genuinely wanting to know them and creating a vibrational link to them. These beings have been around since before time as we know it. A lot of them are not demons, they're spirits. And a lot of them want nothing to do with humans, okay? You have to have something to offer them. So that's the thing. Also, to actually to actually summon something on that level that you're trying to do. And by the way, there are different levels in the spiritual world. There's like the president is probably busy. He's probably not really going to be caught up listening to your petty bullshit. He's probably dealing with the bigger shit, not nonsense. So the stuff that you're bringing to them, it doesn't concern them. They don't get tired. They don't care about your feelings. And they don't care that you're coming from some spiritual system that you've already come in the door through. You're trying to message them and contact them and wanting them to answer. They don't have to. They don't have to. Okay, so a lot of them, I word it in a way that's very easy to understand. And I'm kind of coming into my compassion here when I say this, is that it's like a giant big shark that's swimming around out there in the universes, all right? It's in a place that's way beyond human comprehension. And these beings are just, they're out there. To bring a spirit of that level of power, like a shark, you have to have a blood vibration or a DNA vibration or an energy vibration that would interest them to make them come to you. And if they did hear that or feel that, and you do have, and maybe you do have something of value to offer them in exchange for their wisdom or knowledge, and you've done the due diligence and you've taken the time to research and you're coming from a place of respect, maybe you can bring something closer to you. But that is really where the occult starts. The word occult comes in. That is a secret. That's not for everyone else to know. That's between you and that being. Okay, so that's why you'll never see me sharing any of these stories. You'll never see me sharing pictures of my altar, of my little temples and things, because that's between me and the spiritual world. And actually, I'll be really honest with you, the spiritual world doesn't actually like it when you show it off to other people in exchange for some attention or social capital and put it on Instagram. It's actually really, really disrespectful, and I highly advise against it. Part of the tenethoods of the left path is you keep your fucking mouth shut and you listen and you be respectful and you bow your head before you walk through the door. In the spiritual world, on the left path, you say please before you say thank you. Okay, you're not going to get something for free, and you have to have something to offer. When it comes to the goetic demons and things like that in the spiritual world, one of the things that we kind of forget about because we don't want to look at is that in order to get something, you have to give something. Nothing is spiritually free. I'm giving you some free information now, but I'm keeping this I'm keeping it really PG because it's public information. It's YouTube. All right. So you have to, sacrifice. You have to bring something that is of equal or greater value than the thing that you are asking for. And I see people out there that are asking for things and they think they're going to get what they're asking for. It's not going to happen. Okay, it's just not realistic. Be realistic and be honest with yourself. Okay, don't bullshit yourself when it comes to the spiritual world. These are very powerful beings. Okay, they could, you're a doll. They could rip your head off like a doll. Things can go terribly wrong for you. That's why we come in with respect. We take the time, we learn, we educate ourselves, and also that I will say, you don't have to claim your title. When I can go into a church, not that I would want to, but if I wanted to, I could go into a church, I could go into another spiritual practice, someone else's home. I've got a Muslim friend and his family is beautiful. When I go to visit his family, I show my respects, I bow my head. Well, no, I don't bow my head, but I am respectful. I don't have to deconstruct their spiritual system because that's what they believe in and that's what they're entitled to believe in, just as I'm entitled to believe in whatever the fuck I want to as well. So I don't have to be all tough and heavy and talk that way or be that way because I'm gracious and I'm appreciative of the world that we're in and all of the different viewpoints that are out there. I just happen to have a more fast track way of communicating with the other side. Okay, so that's my journey, and a lot of that comes from my gifts. But that's not to say that other people's systems isn't right either. Okay, so we always have to show respect. Okay, next question. How do you deal with trolls and haters? I actually find haters and trolls are actually a big compliment, and I love them. I love them because, I mean, even the mere thought, and I can say this publicly, and that's why I don't engage with a lot of like the little tarot groups and stuff like that. I am operating on a level that is up here. I am not operating on a level that is down here, okay? And I will say, what's the point of being in the spiritual field or in the spiritual world when you can't even control your own environment? I mean, you can't even control your own space. Like, what's the point of doing readings and connecting to all of this spiritual stuff if you're living in a shithole, you're flat broke, you've got no energy, you've got no passion? I mean, what's it all for? So I don't engage with something unless it's of value to me. If it's someone else talking about someone else, it's completely inconsequential to my life. I am operating up here. I've got way, way bigger fish to fry. I've got bigger things to deal with than thinking about what someone else is thinking about me. All right. So if you're already on this path, did you know that in some countries you'll be facing a firing squad? Did you know that? Did you know that this is highly illegal? You know, even in some cultures, the idea that you could even ask for something or even ask to live for tomorrow without the permission of your God is already completely against you coming to your own conclusions and coming to this path to even begin with. So if you are on this path, you are already going to be persecuted. We already know that half of the world follows a religion that sees this as evil. So you know that. So if you're concerned about all that, and you're concerned about what other people think, you have to get into a place that is beyond that. That's why I will never, ever get down and I call it the trough, or the trough. I had a friend correct me the other day. It's trough, like pig trough. Like getting on the internet and getting into the chat groups or doing videos talking about other people's work. I'm too busy making work. I'm too busy working on myself, working on my art, improving my life, building my strength, building a better home, building a better future for myself. Any time and energy that I have goes into my practice and it goes into my work. I do not give that freely to someone else. I do not. I will not engage. I don't engage with it. I think it's I think it's kind of funny and it's kind of cute in a way. But at the end of the day, I mean, think about it this way. Say like there's a keyboard warrior and they're jumping in the comments and they're writing negative things and they're talking shit about someone, and they're already in a place that's so low that they're giving their time and energy to talk about someone that they've never even met. It's desperate behavior. Same with the scamming stuff. It's already coming from a place that's weak. Okay, the real power, real occultists, the strongest witches you'll ever find, these are people that you would never even meet. You would never know about them. They're not on Instagram, they're not on YouTube, they're not on social media. They are out there in the world and they are doing it for real. They don't need to tell anyone about it. And that's kind of like where I've been for a long time. It's just that it's been brought to my attention that we don't actually have as much time as we think we do. And that's what I mentioned in my first video. So that's why I'm doing these videos now, is because end times, you know, we really are coming to this point now where things like YouTube and Instagram and social media, it's just like, it's not sustainable. And at some point it is going to completely collapse. So, I mean, it's all going to collapse anyway. Who gives a fuck? Yeah, I think it's fun when people talk about me. I actually laugh. It makes me smile. And also as well, in the darker side of it, there is actually a way to feed off of the dark energy of a hater. What it really comes down to is you're able to do something that they can't do. You've got something that they want that they can't have. And human nature is very much like, you can't have that, you can't go there, you can't do that, you can't say that. That's because I can't. And because I can't see how you can. So it comes from a place of fear. It comes from a place of control. So you're a threat to someone else's sense of self-concept, and then they've got to try and reaffirm or affirm their own authority to you or the outside world. But I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, when you wake up in the morning, you know your ability, you know who you are, you know, you're not fooling anyone. And I believe truth in the end always finds a way. And the more that you've denied truth or deflected it, it just has a way of coming back on you. And it's, yeah. Use your time in a constructive way, because the time that we have and the energy that we have is so finite, it doesn't really last long. And we have to make the most of the time that we have here. So I would rather, you know, I would rather do something productive. And at the end of the day, even sitting here now, I'd rather be, I'm going down the pub to have a beer later. I'd rather be at the pub having a beer than sitting here. But I'm here because I'm wanting to connect with you, and I'm giving you my time because I'm putting value into what I do. But I don't talk about other people and their journey because that's their journey. I don't need to deconstruct someone else to reaffirm myself. I'm the toughest bitch in the land or some shit. It's desperate behavior. The ones that have the real power, they're just powerful. They don't need to tell you that they're powerful because they are powerful. That's the thing. Next question. Lose weight. Yes, we covered that. View of mental health. Yes, we covered that. Goetic demons. Yes, we covered that. Did you? No, I didn't make a pact. Look, I'm not going to answer that question. Do I have alignments with spiritual beings? Yeah, I do. Just going to leave it at that. That's not for someone else's. That's not public information. Got to keep this PG. What's your favorite star sign and why? Oh, Sagittarius, best sign there is. No, I do get along with a fellow Sag. I do, I won't lie. If the Sag is fun and I like to have a good time, then the Sag can be fun. The signs that I have the most problems with, obviously, I've told you, is Gemini. I had a 10-year gap. No Geminis allowed in my life, and it was absolutely blissful, completely blissful. The biggest thing that I can't deal with is instability. And because when someone's unstable in themselves, everything that splinters off that in every relationship, every job, everything that they do, it's already unstable. So why would I want to build something with someone who isn't stable? You know, that's the darker side of the Gemini, but the lighter side of the Gemini is they've taken the time to acquire it. They've got stability. They've got that mind that races 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I love that because I have that in me too. I'm a Sag, but also they've got that self-awareness. You know, self-awareness is so important, and you know what you're getting every day. When you go to see them or spend time with them, you're going to get something that's more stable. Okay. And I'm crazy too, but let's get real here. It's some crazy ass people out there. And yeah, I like Leos. I love Leos. I think Leos are beautiful. You know, the light-sided Leo, they bring a lot of warmth, the sun, you know, and I know Leos love hearing that. I am going to do a video actually on the cold hard truth of a Leo, which I will continue in podcast form, which I started that series. But yes, Leos, when a Leo is in alignment, they bring a lot of warmth and a lot of beauty into the world, and I enjoy that. So yes, I will say that the Leo is probably my favorite. So yes, the lions and the lionesses, yes. You mentioned physical traits in star signs, and you will be showing us how to do face readings. Can you please tell us how you spot a sign? I find your videos very interesting. You're fascinating. Thank you so much for what you do. Keep going and keep showing up. Yeah. That's right. I feel thank you. I am trying to show up. Even though I have lots going on in my life and I'm fucking busy and I have health problems and I've got all these other things that are going on in my life, I show up. I just show up. The biggest secret that I've found is there is no secret. Just keep going. Keep pushing. Keep striving. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't stop. That's I think in my early 20s when my life was like a roller coaster, I felt like if I stopped, then somehow it would all go away. And that's not healthy, but yeah. All right, so I will share with you a few little tricks of the trade. All right, so ready? Let me think. Taurus. So Taurus, to visually see a Taurus, because genetic DNA is a thing as well. Like DNA, astrological DNA also comes into the physical. So a Sagittarius face, this is a Sag face, longer face, and then you've got very symmetrical eyes. Sagittarians usually have larger teeth, kind of like a little bit bucky teeth. You get a lot of buck tooth Sagittarians. The Taurus is always the neck and the throat. They have very strong shoulders and a strong neck, very strong in here. So that's a Taurus giveaway. Very muscular, structured people. I don't come across a lot of really scrawny Tauruses. These guys love their food and they have a dependability in their energy to them. They move slow. You know, we talked about that in my Dark Sided series. I would say Aquarians tend to be more pale no matter what their ethnicity. So they tend to be more pale in the skin tone. Aquarians have really big googly eyes as well. A lot of the Aries have very blue eyes, very powerful blue eyes, and they've got a real passion and energy for life, which I really enjoy. My moon is in Aries, by the way. Scorpio eyes is all about this. They're looking around, they're checking out their area, they've got their back to the wall, they're watching what's going on, like the Charles Manson, Scorpio. They have an intensity about them that is undeniable, very easy to spot. Capricorns have beady eyes. A lot of them have beadier type of eyes, usually brown. I come across a lot of brown-eyed Capricorns. Capricorns also have a larger shaped skull. So does the Aquarius, that alien energy, I've noticed. Sagittarians, you can always pick them because they've got a laugh. They laugh, you hear them laugh before you see them coming. And they usually have really solid legs, very large, quite big hips, and big ass, like big round bubble butt. Like that's a Sag. Geminis, when they smile, it's like their whole face lights up when they smile. The Gemini smile is very warming, but don't be fooled. Some of those Geminis are the Chucky. Chucky's a Gemini, okay? They'll stab you in 2 seconds. 1 minute they love you, the next minute that's that whole, you know, unstable thing. It's mass amounts of loving you, love bombing you, I love you, and then they're talking terribly about you to the person that they just said that they loved you. They've got a knife waiting to stab you. Like that's the Gemini thing. Virgos are very small and petite. A lot of them are quite structured, very seriousness. They've got like a don't come near me kind of vibe, the Virgo energy. And Pisces are usually smaller in stature. Pisces and Cancer have very sad eyes. Their eyes are sad. There's a sadness to their eyes that you can see. Yeah. Also, Cancers have very large breasts as well. That whole mother thing, the fluid sac. So I come across a lot of larger breasted women that are Cancerian. So there's a few little things for you. I hope I didn't miss too much of that. In the Libra, they just want to look pretty and play with their hair. Like, you know, Leo, obviously it's the hair, changing their hair color. They love getting their hair done. It's always the hair, the main. When a Leo male starts to lose their hair and it starts to, like, you know, at the front, that starts to get a bit more, oh, some hair just fell out there. I'm getting older. Is that they lose it's like the line loses a part of their power. So if a Leo doesn't look good, they don't feel good. There's a big correlation between what they look like and what they feel like. So that's, that is some of the physical traits that you can use to acquire, to look around and kind of go, what's their star sign? What's their sign? But I'm talking about that in a really general way. So I have had a lot of fun answering your questions. Thank you so much to anyone who sent them in. There are more questions and I apologize. I believe there was a question about my thoughts on Chiron, and there were some questions about my thought processes and, you know, how I operate. I will be unpacking that in further videos. So those questions just needed more time, but we have gotten to an hour, another hour of sitting here with my crazy ass, listening to me rabbit on. I've shared some of my work, I've shared some decks, I've shared my thoughts on things. So yeah, if you enjoyed my videos, leave a comment below, ask me a question. What's a topic that you'd like me to unpack? What's my thoughts on things? You know, I'm open to DM. You can DM me. I am here. I hope that you've enjoyed the video. I've had fun. It's been fun. But all good things must come to an end. So I will leave it here. I will see you in my next future videos, which I'm going to have a little bit of a reprieve, bit of a break, and I'll come back in a couple of weeks and I'll be back. So I'll see you then. Love and blessings to you. Bye. Bye.